What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Here we are hopping into another Protoss versus Zerg as we start up here on the top left-hand corner of the map. Top of the red Protoss player. Give it up for Chabby, European Protoss. And spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. Give it up for Railgan. Looks like this is not the first game that these two guys played, but holy cow, let's talk about the fact that we don't have an early pool going on in this game. Our first game of the day, if you're coming in from the Twitch stream. If you're watching on YouTube, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, actually, if you're watching on YouTube, then you haven't seen a game on my channel for at least 2 days that did not have an early pool, I think. Probably. I'm making promises I probably can't cash, but mixing up some metaphors before. Either way, though, ladies and gentlemen, Abyssal Reef, a map that has been around for such a long time. And I would say not a lot has changed. Protoss players still feel really good on this map, just because, yeah, this walling in was weird at the very beginning of the lifespan of Abyssal Reef, but over time, Protoss players realized, oh, wait a second, I can actually just wall off both of these, or I can wall off one of them and prepare to wall off the second one if I really need to. And they realized also that this third expansion is actually really nice because it's very easy, 3 bases to take. Your 4th expansion is very easy to take. Your 5th expansion is also kind of not too terrible to take. Does get a little bit dicey depending on where the Zerg player is at in their build. If they have hive tech, if they're coming out with brood lords or ultras, or if they're going for lurkers, a weird kind of stuff like that can make it a little bit more difficult to take those forward bases. But either way, a lot of easy expansions to take on this map, and a lot of really nice force field choke points to abuse with adepts and force fields. Warp prisms also pretty strong. So not a big surprise that a lot of pro players have learned to love Abyssal Reef. But man, these guys are bantering quite a bit. Looks like it's not just like shit talking each other either. They're actually discussing builds, so maybe these guys actually do get along pretty well. Maybe these are actually just practice games, but practice or not, you really don't want to be losing any workers to the just early 2 lings that are coming out over here. I'm not sure where the early units are for Chabby. He does not have an adept out. He lost the adept. Oh my god, he lost the adept on the other side of the map. Must have lost it to a queen? That's the only thing that I can think of. He must have lost it. No, he didn't lose it to a queen. Well, you know what? It's not a Fear Dragon cast unless I'm totally missing important things that end up happening. Still a little bit rusty, guys. I've been on a vacation for a while. But here we go. We got a very quick Dark Shrine coming out. It's going most likely alongside the robotics facility. Going to be a DT drop. Pretty common thing in the meta these days. Evolution Chamber coming down for Railgun. It's not a crazy early Evolution Chamber. It could just be for purely upgrades. But there's an Overlord positioned very, very closely over here. Could go for some Overlord drops in the main base. Of course, Chabby's on top of this. He's building some gateways over here. He's building a lot of gateways over here. And this might not seem like a big deal, but it does even force the Overlord to go just a little bit further if they actually want to drop those lings in. To be annoying. Ferrying back and forth for multiple rounds of units also becomes annoying because it's not just moving from here to here. It's moving from here to here and then back over here and then back into the main base. It can definitely actually really delay things and give you time to react. Even keeping a probe on the low ground. Oh my god, Chabby is just so ultra paranoid about those link drops. I guarantee you that these guys played a game earlier and Railgun went for some of those Overlord drops. I almost guarantee it. But for now, he's just getting up some Spore Crawlers. He's getting up a pretty damn quick 4th expansion. I mean, this is a 4th expansion at, what, 5 minutes? That's pretty damn quick. Taking a look, though, the Dark Shrine has finished up. The Warp Prism is also out and making its way across the map. There are going to be those 4 beautiful, beautiful Dark Templar. Will he morph them in? No. It's going to actually carry the Archon, or the DT straight in. Try and get some damage in. I always like it a lot more when Protoss players at least try and do some damage with the Archons. Because if you get some form of damage done with the Archon, or sorry, the DTs, then hey, it's a lot more worth it. You have the potential to at least force out Spore Crawlers. Otherwise, Zerg players just start getting greedy and don't make the spores at all. But Warp Prism gets Focus Fire down very, very quickly and looks like it's going to have to back off. Good reaction time from Chabby. Ling's trying to get some damage on over about the third expansion, but the overcharge not actually going to be enough over here. Probe's going to start to go down. There's a big warping of Adepts coming out, but Nexus is starting to get a little bit lower in health. No, this Railgun's not going to focus fire, so I believe these Adepts should be able to get over there in time. And will be able to defend that third expansion. Doesn't lose anything beyond just a handful of shields, but still a bit of a scary moment, I think, for Chabby. And of course, the kind of untalked about thing with those kind of harassments is that it does delay the additional rounds of harassment from the Warp Prism. If your opponent is just so busy with all of their attention trying to deal with some kind of big Ling run by, then you don't also have the APM to actually start dropping out those DTs. And look at the fact that he still has not made any Archons. Warping in more DTs? Are you kidding me? What on earth is Chabby doing? Is it okay? Now he's gonna start to make some Archons. Got an Immortal, got some Zealots, and an Adept. A couple of Adepts in the mix as well. This is a kind of surprisingly scary push. Although he's taking a lot of damage on the war. Oh my god, Muzzlecore throws out a Time Warp. I mean, yeah, the Queens aren't going to be able to escape out of there. The DTs will be able to kill quite a few of them. Looks like some Transfuses also going down, buying some time, but the Baneling's getting some pretty decent hits off, killing off a handful of those Adepts. Archons are starting to get focus fire down, but it seems like the Warp Prism going down is really going to be the big killing blow to the attack. Although there's still a handful of units left over. The last couple of Banelings for Railgun not actually getting the best hits off, as the army was pretty well spread out for Chabby. And now the fourth expansion getting very low on health as the Immortals dealing out some serious DPS. Eventually, everything does get cleaned up, but at what cost? It's not just the fourth expansion, it's all the resources that Railgun invested into defending that fourth. He lost so many Banelings. I mean, yeah, there's 3 Banelings over there, but it's all the Banelings that he made that don't show up in that unit lost tab. And of course, all the Lings that he lost, all the Queens that he lost. Big Ling run by, goes over to the third expansion, but there's more than enough over here to defend. And while there isn't a Mothership Core around, Mothership Core is going to be finishing up pretty soon. Gonna have some Fletch and Overcharges available to help deal with this kind of stuff. There's going to be a Photon Cannon over here. There's Immortals, there's Adepts. There's a lot of Banelings being made over here, so maybe those Adepts not going to actually be the best defensive mechanism to deal with those big Baneling run-bys. Where are the upgrades at? We have +1 melee out, +2 melee on the way. For those who don't know, +2 melee is what allows Banelings to one-shot workers. That's a big upgrade for when you want to start doing some damage. Oh my god, Centrifugal Hooks! Oh my god, this just goes to show you how late Centrifugal Hooks is, and this must have been an accident just because he was dealing with that early pressure. Didn't have the resources for it earlier, but he had dropped down an Infestation Pit before he started researching Centrifugal Hooks for that Baneling speed upgrade. So I am pretty sure that must have been a bit of an oversight. But here we go, Baneling starting to blow up on top of the Adepts, getting some really juicy hits off. The last second, Chabby finally does manage to run away with a handful of those Adepts, and again, imagine if those Banelings had Baneling speed. Would have been some amazing hits on those still clumped up Adepts for quite a bit longer. Maybe he would have been able to even continue to push in, kill off some of these Immortals or something. But he ends up having to back off. Still, he buys himself some space, gets up a fourth expansion. Infestation Pit, again, also finished up. So you can start making Infestors or Swarm Hosts? Okay, so here's the thing. Swarm Hosts is very much out of the meta right now. These days, most people don't really actually like Swarm Hosts all that much. But there are some nice things you can do with them, especially on this map. This position right here is amazing for Swarm Hosts. If you can get the Swarm Hosts over here without your opponent being in the right place to defend, if they're up over here trying to defend, sending a big wave of Locusts to just kill off this expansion or kill off a bunch of the workers over there can be really devastating to a Protoss economy. Looks like he's going to be going for this position outside of the natural expansion. Chabby has no idea about any of this. He sees a couple of the Zerglings. He's trying to just get in position to defend over here, but it is the 1-2 punch as the Locust come on in. And no, unfortunately not being well controlled. Going after a Photon Cannon with most of them and honestly choking themselves up. A couple of DTs being warped in. I like the DT defense. DT's not going to go scouted. Pylons, taking some damage. Looks like a couple of workers do end up falling, but Chabby chases back those Swarm Hosts, and gonna be chasing him actually pretty far out. Swarm Hosts move pretty fast, though. The only big problem with Swarm Hosts is that once you throw out the wave of Locusts, there really isn't a whole lot else to actually help defend after that. You really need those Swarmless Locusts to be off of cooldown. And they are finally off of cooldown. He's going to have exactly one additional wave of Locusts to help defend for a little bit longer. He needs to defend this base. Here we go. Link's trying to come in for surround. The army for Chabby really isn't that big. And he does end up recalling out instead. He has a good defense back at home, so he isn't going to take too much damage from those Link run-bys. But he's got a lot of Colossus. He just needs a little bit more meat on the ground. He needs more of these Adepts. He needs more of the Zealots. He needs just more Archons. Big Ling run-by coming in on the bottom left-hand side. At the same time, the Swarmless getting ready to move in once again into the natural expansion. She's going to be a little bit more vulnerable, even to the attack-moving Locust. But the Ling's able to get some good damage done, killing off some of these Photon Cannons, buying himself some time. But here we go. Chabby is not going to have it this time. He's going straight for the Jugular, going for the fifth expansion. The heart and beating economy right now of Railgun. He's also even whittling away at the economy down on the low ground. That fourth expansion. If he takes out both of these bases, Railgun's economy is going to be in shambles. Creep is starting to get cleaned up. Railgun needs some muster up at defense. He's got a couple of the Corruptors out now. Is this going to be enough? He does get into a good position. Locust off of cooldown. Once again, the Locusts starting to come in. And they should be able to obliterate these Archons and the Immortals. The Colossus also going to get picked away at by the Corruptors. It seems like the Colossus plus the Archons just have a little bit too much AoE, able to take out all of those Swarmhost Locust waves. Couple Stalkers being warped in, reinforcements. Overlord's actually gonna start getting picked off. Luckily, the Archon's not doing too much damage to them, so Railgun's in no danger of being supply blocked anytime soon. He lost a little bit too much of an economy. He tried to retake that fourth expansion, even has got a lot of his drones over here, but this is not gonna finish by any means whatsoever. Oh, no cancel either. Railgun floundering a little bit as he's trying to figure out what to do. Looks like he did manage to get up the Broodlord tech. Hive tech is finished up. The Greater Spire is finished up. This is what he was investing all of his money into. But can he do enough damage over here? There really isn't a whole lot of anti-air. Has Blink been researched? No, Blink is only just recently underway. So I think that Railgun's going to be able to buy himself at least another minute or so until Blink is finished at a minimum. No Stargates actually popping down. Railgun gonna not have the best economy, but Chabby's feeling great. He's got a fifth expansion on the way. His fourth expansion's been mining pretty steadily for a long time. He's got 75 workers. He could probably even try and take another expansion right now, especially since he knows he's gonna be up against the Broodlords. Might as well try and spend some of those resources. Up 175 to 140 supply. Railgun has to make something happen over here. He has to be so careful though. He does not want to get caught out of position. He's trying to abuse this cliff edge, but as soon as Blink finishes up, this is going to be a big danger no zone. Couple of Swarmless Locusts also trying to move in from the backside, killing off a couple of the workers, but Chabby still has a very healthy 72. Broodlord's starting to take some serious damage, or starting to take about half of their health on some of these guys. Getting into the yellow, but continuing to whittle away at his opponent. Even if these Colossus instantaneously clean up those Broodlings, the initial shots still do some damage, but here we go. Blink is about to finish up. This is the big danger zone for Railgun. He has nothing on the ground to help defend the Broodlords. And the Stalker count, it's at a decent enough number. He's going to be able to blink. He's getting ready. He knows it. He's looking for it. He's getting into position, and there it is. Okay, he doesn't get actually the best blink up. He does get close enough to pick off one of the Broodlords, but not enough of them end up really falling over there. The Colossus able to clean up a lot of the Broodlings, but the Locust also coming in. It's just a little bit too much DPS. Chabby does not want to take this fight. He's going to wait for those Swarmless Locusts to expire, and then he's going to have another window of opportunity. Blink should be off of cooldown once again as well. Broodlord's very exposed right now. One of them going down. Second one getting focus fire down. Nice stutter stepping back, getting out those waves of Broodlings. Messing with the AI a little bit for those Stalkers, forcing them back. Actually losing quite a few of the Stalkers. And wow, Railgun is making this work. Behind this, he's been able to reestablish one of his bases. Another expansion also established, but needs to transfer some workers over there. He's making an army that he really could not have replenished work against a very high-tech Protoss army. And all of the Stalkers are getting surrounded and killed off. There's nothing left to deal with the Broodlords. There's only 4 Stalkers. There's 2 Void Arrays now out. One Corruptor's not going to be enough. This is going to actually be the big thing that pushes Railgun back. Finally, these Broodlords are going to all end up falling down. As I think just even 2 Voider is going to be enough to kill off every single one of the Broodlords. 2 Corruptors say hi. That's not going to even not matter. Railgun's desperately trying to do what he can to buy a little bit more time. The Broodlords are not actually getting focus fire down, so they are hanging in there for a little bit longer, but the Swarmos, they have another round of Locusts, but it's only 5 of them. Or sorry, 4 of them? 5 of them. Wait a second, is he starting to push his opponent back? There's still 2 Broodlords alive. Somehow those Void Rays are alive, but haven't been able to target fire down those Broodlords. The Corruptor count has gradually been able to build up, and now the Colossus are starting to die. Railgun is turning this around again. He's still sitting down in supply. It's not over just yet. The economy for Chabby has gone relatively unimpacted. In fact, if anything, it's just continued to grow up to 83 workers. He needs to take another base, though. Oh my god, he must be oversaturated somewhere. A little bit of oversaturation over here. Okay, there's the oversaturation. He's going to start transferring some workers. Got a couple idle ones over here as well. But there's going to be that expansion. Chabby realizes, yeah, I need to start making use of this economic edge that I had garnered for myself that I haven't really been able to take advantage of for a while. In the meanwhile, Railgun is trying to say, okay, well, I have my economy back on its feet now, but still doesn't have the most amazing army supply. This is still a very, very scrappy army. I mean, 2 Broodlords, a handful of Corruptors, and some Swarmos. This is an army that could just fall over at any given moment to a big Protoss army like this. Especially with all these Void Rays being added in. If this Void Ray count gets a critical mass, the Corruptors are going to do absolutely nothing. Especially with some of the Corruptors turning into Broodlords as well. That Corruptor count does get reduced. Chabby looking for an opportunity. The Swarmos, though, actually doing the same thing. Might be able to pick away at the economy a little bit. Again, I actually wonder if the economy, doing economic damage to the worker count is really that meaningful. Killing off bases like this is pretty meaningful right now. I feel like both of these players are going to be relatively oversaturated. If these Locusts, yeah, killing off the photon cannons isn't a horrible deal either. It opens up the opportunity for Ling run-bys, and of course the Swarmos can also potentially go after the Nexus next time. Although they have to survive to do something like that. Oh god, every single Swarmos ends up falling. Fungal growth going down, locking out a couple of the Stalkers, but not actually doing that much. There's some good fungal growth. If only he had some Ravagers or something to chain it together with. Stalkers blink forward, focus firing down a couple of those Broodlords. The Void Rays also getting on top of this army. And it seems like the Colossus backup also just doing a little bit too much. Slowly but surely, Chabby has been able to push forward, takes out the last mining base, and he takes victory in this game. Well played. What a sick PvZ. And by the way, major props to Railgan, who was the one who submitted this game to me. Submitted a game where he